Let's bring in Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia. He's the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So we now can talk about exactly what's in the bill. It appears there's something for everyone in it, truly bipartisan in nature. It's taken a lot of work. It had folks like Chuck Schumer, who was on our show a little bit earlier, working directly with Mitch McConnell and figuring it out. And yet House Republicans and the Speaker himself saying it's pretty much dead on arrival. What do you say to Mike Johnson, beyond the fact that he denies that he's bending to Trump's wishes, which makes me wonder who else is influencing this decision? Vladimir Putin? Because everything that he does seems to play into the Russian leader's hands. So is it Trump? Is it Putin? Or what do you have to say to the Republican Speaker of the House?
Well, Mika, first of all, let's acknowledge this took a long time. But this will be the most transformative change in border policy in decades. Matter of fact, if you go down and look at the Republican wish list of what they want to change on the border, asylum, parole, more officers, making sure that we do a better job of screening for fentanyl, frankly, and there were bipartisan support of all of those. The border's been a mess. Every one of that hit list is addressed in this piece of legislation. And on top of that, I'm glad you also brought up the question about Ukraine. That, in my mind, I've been in the Senate 14 years. I can't think of a more important decision than whether we will stand with our Ukrainian allies, particularly after Europe ponied up 50 billion euro in the last week or so, or whether we will walk away and have America's word never trusted again. So this does touch all of the hot issues, the money for Israel, Gaza. There's a component part for Indo-Pacific and helping Taiwan. This is the most comprehensive, both security and border peace. And I hope they will just take yes. I do think as people get a chance to digest this, my hope is that the Senate will move aggressively, will get 70, 75 votes. And then if the Speaker wants to turn that down, you pose the question the right way. Who is he kowtowing to? Was it domestic or foreign? But I hope the more time people take to look at this, the better I think it'll be.
So are you confident it'll make it through the Senate? And if it does, is there anything the White House can do? I mean, everything is laid out for Americans to read, for the media to cover. Speaker Johnson knows what's in the bill. These far-right House Republicans who say they're not listening to Donald Trump, even though he has said he's got his finger on the button here in terms of which way to go, and he doesn't want this bill to go through because it would make Biden look good. I mean, that's where we're at. There's no other excuse, especially if they're checking off their wish list in this bill. What could it be?
Well, again, I think time will tell. I think they've hit every item that my Republican friends, and frankly, a lot of the Democrats agreed as well. We got to make changes at the border. It is a mess. These are the most substantive changes that have been put forward in decades. Matter of fact, much on this list were things that even President Trump requested when he was president, because you can't do it all with executive authority. So I do think, we know that it's like the old line in Casablanca, there's gambling going on here. There is hypocrisy in Washington, but this would take the case if my Republican friends would not go ahead and say, you want border, we want to stand with Ukraine, we want to help Israel, we want to make sure that we push back China in the Indo-Pacific. This is everything they asked for. Take yes for an answer.
John Helman, your thoughts on this, especially given the aid to Israel and Ukraine at this critical time? I mean, this is not a situation that the president has asked for on the world stage, but he's managing two wars. And it appears to me that, again, it's playing into the hands of Putin to not give aid to Ukraine, a country that right now is fighting for the safety of the world.
Right, and I think, one of the things, Senator, that we had Chuck Schumer on earlier this morning, he was talking about how, this the history here is interesting, right? Because we started out here, really, this was all about America's role in the world. This is a border bill only because of the politics of it, because Republicans kind of forced the border bill in. Is it the case that on these broader questions, the questions of the broader international questions, the questions of Ukraine, the questions of American aid in Israel and trying to manage that situation, is that a place where there is no longer the kind of bipartisan consensus and support that there was. I mean, the Israel question is much is in sense after 10/7 is new in front of us. But this Ukraine question has been going on for some years. We've seen some ebbing of support for the bipartisanship that we saw on that. Where do we stand on those questions? If you took the border bill out of this, where would we be in terms of trying to get the House and the Senate to be able to back Joe Biden in terms of what he needs to do on the world stage?
Well, first of all, remember, the border got put in because our Republican friends said, we got a crisis on the border. Our hair's on fire. If we don't do something now, we're not going to give you aid for Ukraine. Right. Well, we've given everything they wanted. And frankly, it took the Democrats a while to move this far. Yep. But we have moved. And on the issue of Ukraine, actually, there have been some loud voices against aid to Ukraine out of the Republican conference. But there was a lunch recently where the Republicans went around the room, and my friends reported to me the overwhelming majority of the Republican senators knew that if you walk away from Ukraine now, America's word will never be taken again. So I actually think there may be more support for Ukraine than even some of the Republican leadership thought. But all that will be tested this week. That we're going to have a vote as early as Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. So, Senator, on that, we know that many Republicans changed their stance on the border piece of this because Donald Trump came out against it, saying, I want to preserve this as an election year issue. He's also been very reluctant to back Ukraine. And certainly many Democrats have said, well, that's because of his close ties to Vladimir Putin. So if this does become a separate, what happens if Trump comes down against that as well, saying, no, don't go for Ukraine? What recourse do you have?
Well, first of all, I hope the American people will then say, hold up, this guy says he wants border controls. He turns it down for a political issue. I've been in this job 14 years. I can't think of a more important vote, a more historic vote of whether we will stand by Ukraine, which has taken out 80% of the Russian ground forces pre-war, where the Europeans have put up $50 billion, where nations like Finland and Sweden have joined NATO because of American leadership. If we walk away from that, that will be a mistake of historic proportions. And if Donald Trump calls for that, and again, I was the guy who was involved in the investigation into the 2016 Russian interference in our elections. And this connection between Trump and Putin is pretty remarkable. Donald Trump, one thing about him is he's an equal opportunity offender. He abuses everyone domestically or on the world stage. The one guy he's never said a bad word about, Vladimir Putin.